does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues?
To begin with, the genre of our film falls under the suspense thriller category. While creating this film opening, my partner and I focused on conventions, including sound, lighting, camera movements, and editing. The first shot in our film opening was an establishing shot of the house where the main character resides. In the early scenes, a mysterious character wearing a hoodie approaches the house. The establishing shot purposely focused on the house and commenced tilting upwards to the sky during the sunset hours, where the lighting was clear for filming but presented a cloudy tint, darkening the scenes that were filmed outside. This helped with concealing the mysterious character's identity, creating an eerie tone within the first 20 seconds of our film opening. Throughout our film opening, we varied our use of lighting from bright to cloudy to dim and completely black. The earlier scenes within the first minute of our film opening consistently used dim lighting, adding to the airy atmosphere, and as our film progressed, the use of dark lighting in the background of scenes and completely black in the transition between clips created mixed emotions of both fear and suspense among viewers. Moving on to the sound, my partner and I agreed to make use of both diegetic and non-diegetic sound within our film. The use of non-diegetic sound had a major impact on the overall tone of our film, as the soundtrack that we used began with a slow rhythm that created a nervous feeling, causing viewers to grow more and more agitated as the speed and tension of the music ramped up. Towards the climax, we decided to retain certain diegetic sounds like knocking on doors, doors closing, things hitting the floor, and pages turning to keep that sense of realism and connection between the film and the viewers. Challenging the convention of steady camera shots, we decided to make use of handheld camera movements that created an uneasy feeling, fitting right into the suspense aspect of our film. To keep things uniform within the early scenes of the opening, we used fading transitions to go along with the nervously slow music. However, as the music grew climatic, we made a few jump cut edits to roughen up the smoothness of our film, which quickly delivered a high dosage of anxiety. As the sound of gunshots rang through the classroom, this unfortunately is an exceptionally grave issue in the United States, with 23 school shootings having taken place in the last school year alone, with the Marjory Stoneman Douglas incident having hit so close to home within my very school district. My partner and I decided to use a film opening as an outlet to shine a little more light towards this ongoing issue in the United States.
How does your product engage with audience, and how would it be distributed as a real media text?
People are familiar with the topic of interest and will be able to relate to events occurring on screen, since we incorporated a real issue that is currently devastating families, schools, and communities across the United States. Also, the development of our own unique plot where a book intertwines with the real world of the character who's reading presents viewers with something fresh, something new. The simple fact that we didn't completely go with a traditional cliché suspense thriller film with a murder and the suspect is what will retain the attention of viewers. To distribute a film as real media, we plan to use free platforms such as Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube to get our low-budget film out there and have people give us feedback on what they think. We will also try to gain attention within these communities by asking people with a lot of followers to help with advertising of our film. Once we receive enough recognition, We will opt to have our film produced by a film production company who will finance the production of our film and hopefully get us onto the big screen.
How did your production skills develop throughout this project?
My cinematography skills have greatly improved since planning, filming, and finally editing this project. I think that my understanding of mise-en-scène has grown the most since taking on the production of my film opening. I am now able to figure out exactly what kinds of lighting techniques, editing techniques, use of sound, camera angles, and movements that I need to create the certain tone or mood that will enhance my film. I also learned a lot about filming numerous takes for different scenes. Since I haven't really made too many videos before that involving acting, I never really truly realized how many times one simple scene would have to be filmed because it wasn't reenacted in the way that I wanted. I really got a taste of this when someone would forget what they were supposed to do, accidentally laugh mid-scene, move the camera too much while filming, or if someone accidentally walked in front of the camera while we were filming. These problems forced us to refilm a ton of scenes and edit in many ugly cuts between clips. In addition, I learned how to take music from videos such as those posted on YouTube and converted them into MP3 audio files using an easy web-based converter that will allow me to add the audio files into the timeline of my film. To add a bit more of professionalism to my film, I learned how to use different features of the Adobe Premiere program, which allowed me to adjust different things like font, color, placement, and duration of titles presented on screen, as well as the hue and saturation of clips in my film. After dealing with and overcoming these issues, I feel like I can now make any kind of film that my imagination illustrates.
How did you integrate technologies in this project?
Throughout the process of creating this entire film, I actively used the website WordPress to write blog posts, updating what my partner and I have finished, what we are currently working on, and what we had planned ahead to work on next. As I said previously, I used Adobe Premiere Pro to edit the entire film opening, and this allowed me a lot more flexibility while editing as opposed to using softwares like Windows Movie Maker and iMovie. As I learned new things, like how to add in titles on the timeline, I also learned that there were tons of different ways that I could customize these titles to make them fit better into my film. I also learned how to make use of the multiple timelines for audio tracks, which enabled me to play my suspenseful music throughout the entire length of the film on one audio timeline, and then add in sound effects that I could make slightly louder into another audio timeline and play them all in sync with the other timelines. Lastly, websites like YouTube and Dailymotion supplied us with the audio tracks that we needed for our film, and equally important, provided many different tutorial videos on how to do things like edit on Premiere Pro and convert audio from these sites into MP3 files.